Hello?
Josh. Hello, Brandon. Wow.
Every week I learn of a new talent Brandon has. It's amazing.
What's this week?
Riding a bike and calling into OCI meetings.
I thought he was going to say standing perfectly still with a smile. It's really incredible. He hasn't blinked.
Oh,
Brandon, it's just OCI. It's not that important. Please pay attention to the road.
no, please keep that on. That was really changing the trajectory of my week. All right, let's cut some stuff here. I'm happy to share. Y'all can see okay? So I think merge this and then push a tag manually from the command line. Is that check out the commit and push it manually? Does that sound right? Okay.
If we mess up, we just have an RC3 and it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. And oh yeah, you don't even need the command line. All right, let's see.
Might I have a question? Is it
Go ahead.
RC.2 or just RC2? I think the release, the other RC is just RC1.
That it is. I wish Vince was here. I think, is this actually better, Semver? I think that's what he was.
Yes, that's Semver.
Okay. Perfect timing. Okay, 4-9. And then that'll, yeah, this will cause it to be in the specs thing. 4-9 AF. Let's copy some hoopla. what was our vote at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. Did nobody respond to Janice here? Ooh, what? Oh, I'm editing the old one. Okay, I don't know what number 1 means. I'm just gonna. All right, any last minute things? Clicking? All right, that's going, and then this should push a PDF and Markdown version of the spec. And then all right, I'll just reply from my work email here. All right, does someone want to drive image spec? I don't have the rights there.
Am I the only one? Oh, TNON exists.
I haven't even had a minute to review the PR yet.
Do you think we should?
Should review it or should release it?
Both?
It's probably fine.
I think these artifacts, the PDFs and stuff need to be done manually, by the way. So I'm going to do that.
Are you doing the thing, John?
I'm trying to understand Alexa's point before clicking any buttons. I will submit a PR to make the change for future releases. Okay, so presumably not this one.
Yeah, it's technically, if we're trying to be more semver, we should do this so that it's even more semver. But this is the way we've done it for every release historically of this spec and every other spec in OCI. Basically, just that -dev doesn't sort properly next to releases, which is a very cosmetic concern that only affects people who are not using releases.
Do we have quorum on the mailing list? We have Vincent, Ajay, Brandon, Stephen, me. That's 5 of 8. Anybody good at math? 5/8 is not 2/3 yet.
The mailing list has the wrong commit ID.
Hmm.
Oh, Sajay gave a specific commit ID.
Presumably
and
VBAT's
Brandon.
LGTM is applying to his own.
Yeah, he then replied with the correct commit ID.
Okay. Tianon, I think in order to hit this button, you have to reply to this thread.
Yeah. This is rubbish. We should fix this process.
What's your preferred alternative?
I mean, we have all but one approval on GitHub. We're literally just missing John. That's it. And it makes it very obvious that we have all but one check mark. So it seems silly that we're doing this in 2 places, especially when one has to specify the specific commit that we want to tag, which then might change based on the discussion in GitHub. And now do we have to restart the vote? Like, we've had this problem several times over the life cycle of the OCI where the commit ID has to change mid-vote because something, right?
I'm okay with changing things, but not today.
Yep. I did reply on the mailing list,
Woohoo.
so you should be good to go.
Oh, yeah. I was looking for a TAnon in that string and it did not exist.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't.
Okay, I'm clicking merge on 1049. All opposed.
Google Groups kind of sucks. Do you know anyone who can help us with that?
I don't.
For the avoidance of doubt, that was very tongue in cheek. And I'm sorry if I offended anyone. Did not intend offense.
I don't think anyone took offense to that. Or at least I definitely did not take offense to it. And I don't think John did, considering especially John doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah, I'm more concerned of like maybe the Google Groups maintainers are gonna come watch our recording later and they're gonna be like, man, why does Tianan hate us so much? I really don't. Google Groups is a great service. I'm sorry. But you know, if you want some feedback, call me.
This is v1.0 or sorry, v1.1.0-RC3. Or no, there's a dev in there that I just merged. Or is there? Is it dash dev? The commit to tag is the one before the dev. I just merged. I don't understand checking in the version to version.go. It doesn't make sense to me. So I feel like I don't understand what we're doing. Maybe. What's the string that we use for this tag?
How's my audio?
I can hear you.
So there are two commits when we do a release. One puts the version in there and one takes the version back out and puts it to dash dev. And you tag the previous commit, the one with the version in there.
So what we have is dash rc.3 dash dev.
Yep, you tag that one, but the merge is going to have both of them in there. So what you tag in the final merge, it's the intermediate commit that's within there. The merge has two commits.
So the commit ID that was on the mailing list,
Yeah,
go steal that guy and tag
Yeah,
that.
that's the way to
specific
do
commit
this, huh?
ID, Yeah.
That's brilliant.
the one that was approved.
All right. That's smart.
Brutal, Jason.
That's smart. Set this as a pre-release.
I don't think he's seen it yet, Jason. He'll get there. He'll be offended soon.
Good.
And the string for the tag is dash rc3, not dash rc3 dash dev.
Correct. Well, RC.3, because we're going all in on Semper.
Oh my God. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oops. Click and publish on that string. Oh. Make sure you have a valid tag. Okay. Create on publish.
If you want to save it as a draft, I could sanity check before you hit publish.
It's too late.
Sweet. Even better. It's beautiful. Commit ID even looks familiar.
Hmm. Feel free to edit it if you see anything that you're not happy with.
Yeah. I still had the commit ID in my clipboard, so I hit Control F and there it is right on the page.
Nice.
Looks right to me.
Nice. I tend to only use ZeroVer, so I'm not familiar with all the SimVer shenanigans.
I almost commented on the PR that the only part of it I don't like is Semver.
Okay, I'm no longer driving.
Were there other release related items before we proceed? Aaron, we just cut. I had nothing to do with it. Josh and John just cut release candidates of image spec and distribution spec. But I think we're done with that, unless anybody wants to talk about Sember.
Like, I started with I had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it. It's not my
It's
fault.
not my fault.
I'll jump the queue a little bit, but I think it's fast. WASM is back and wants to change our advice, or rather remove our special casing for WASM. The advice had been image spec when specifying a platform says use what Go uses. Go at that time didn't have a thing for WASM, or it did, but it was like JS WASM. We sent a change through that said don't listen to Go about WASM. Just use WASM as the platform. And since then, Go has added a platform for WASM, which is called WASM WASI P1, or in the future WASM WASI P2, and in the future WASM WASI when it's done being a preview. So I think what we should do is remove the special case and say you should still just always do what Go says. WASM WASI P1 is a valid platform and the one you should use. Do people understand the issue or disagree with the suggestion? I can send a PR to remove. It's like one sentence of like, for WASM, ignore the Go advice and do this, but we can just say use the Go advice.
I think we should try to articulate my thoughts. I think that we should allow other languages to dictate their own platforms, and I don't think like if Rust and other languages want to also define their own architecture, or another WASM runtime comes along, we should include language that if it's like sort of like the don't generate an error if the don't error on unexpected platforms. You just don't know how to run them. That's fine.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think the small tactical change on the table is remove this line and align with previous advice. I do think in the long-term general case, we need to we'll probably find a case where we need to have another special thing where like Go does this, but we want everyone else to do this. Or the community does this already, and we just want to specify that this is what everyone should do. In the future, that might be listen to Go for these, you listen to Rust for these. Here are 3 other special cases. But I think we should, and probably, like you said, have if you don't recognize the platform, don't barf. it's probably just something new, and new things, though they're scary, are okay. But I don't think we need to make that guidance in the small tactical change. I realize we just cut an RC and I'm requesting making a new change. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm trying to make the smallest possible change before cutting an actual release. And then, yeah, we can talk about platform guidance generalization, as they come up in the future. We did talk about that some when we talked about the exception to the Go rule for WASM. That in general, I think we all know that like we should get off of just riding Go's coattails. John, you had your hand up and then you took it down. Did I?
You covered it.
Okay, great. All right, if nobody's yelling at me, I'm going to go send a PR to do that, and we can keep talking there. Thanks, everyone.
I think I had the next item because I want to push PR 1030 to next week. And I wanted to ask if it belongs better as a PR on distribution spec or image spec. There's a line that Brandon suggested I change on PR 1030 about implementations that are sort of involved in storing and copying content. That they should, essentially, I want to think about how could we make the OCI spec explicitly forward compatible and prevent an OCI 1.2 logjam or future issue that essentially caused so much consternation with the artifact manifest, right? And as long as implementations are able to implement allow lists of acceptable content and manifest types, it's always going to be an issue where, like the analysis that we did on, someone did on issue 1025, I believe, of pushing various types of content to registries. There's always going to be registries that just, if they've implemented an allow list, are not going to accept anything new that's standardized. And that's always going to be a blocker. I think there's a real opportunity to think about, especially in the context of this artifact type field, requiring that implementations don't implement allow lists, because that's just antithetical to forward compatibility and being able to progress the standard. I want to have an open conversation here about how do people feel about requiring that. Again, these implementations that are involved in storing and copying, I want to focus on that, like things like OCI registry proxies or private registry implementations, things like that, that if they don't support arbitrary content types or media types, end up being blockers to new functionality. I mean, eventually we're going to want something like a new manifest type, and we're not going to be able to support it. I don't think that's quite true, Brandon, that every registry today has a manifest allow list. I don't believe that's the case. I think there are registries that don't inspect the media type, or they don't require a specific media type. For example, they've experimented with, for example, artifact manifests. But again,
it is challenging to implement things in that way, but I think it is technically possible. I would be surprised if there was a registry that didn't look at the content of a manifest at all, but I think it is probably possible.
Yeah, I think let's split up the conversation then into two parts, because I think there's the first part, which is allow lists of content types, which is a major issue. If registries restrict content types, then things like SBOMs or signatures, like as the external community innovates here, what WASI programs, for example, if they create a image manifest that contains a WASM program, that's not going to be portable across different registries unless we have made it clear that arbitrary layer types would be accepted. And it's currently not explicitly the case. I guess is anyone opposed to requiring that arbitrary artifact types should be accepted and arbitrary layer types should be accepted? And again, the emphasis is on not, and I would even maybe be explicit that implementation should not implement an allow list. I think it's fine if registries want to say they don't want to participate in the Helm ecosystem, and then they want to choose one by one that they just don't want to participate in things. But as sort of a default, I think accepting content should be the norm, because otherwise, again, there won't be portability for any of these innovators in this ecosystem. There won't be confidence that they can use OCI.
Are you talking about, I think I heard you say artifact type and layer type. That's what you're not saying arbitrary manifest type yet.
Yeah, so I said I wanted to split the conversation into two parts. So let's talk about content first, and maybe there's less disagreement there.
I don't disagree with you that registries shouldn't reject blobs for any reason, really.
Would that belong on distribution spec or image spec as a PR?
I think a PR and image spec clarifying that the media type can be arbitrary and the artifact type can be arbitrary is important. And then maybe considerations on distribution spec about like, these should be opaque to you. Like you shouldn't care what the blobs are. You shouldn't care what the artifact type is other than that it exists or not.
Okay. I think if no one objects, then I'll make sure 1030 lines up with that sort of thought. And it seems there's still a lot of consternation around, or rather silence around supporting forward compatibility of manifests, but I want to keep this conversation going on manifests because I just think that there's going to be eventually there's going to be an OCI 1.2 or OCI 2.0, and I want to be forward thinking about mitigating the logjam that occurred.
Yeah. I practically, right, like a registry won't support a new manifest media type and be able to do the things that registries do and people expect them to do. It needs to parse it in some way, and like you could write a parser that doesn't actually care about the exact format, but if we want arbitrary manifests in some way, then we need to rethink like how the spec is worded and how it works. Because every implementation I've looked at basically takes the structs in the spec and marshals and unmarshals them. And so you can't do that if we allow arbitrary formats. And that's a problem to be solved that would be a prerequisite for any language that's like registries should allow arbitrary manifests.
That makes sense.
I don't have a good solution to offer to the problem, but it is a problem.
I think you've suggested some things in the past that are worth exploring, of spec typing or creating a more abstract artifact type in the future that is just fully general. So I think it's worth talking about and exploring those options going forward. Okay, that's all I had. Is I just wanted to take the temperature of the room. Unfortunately, I only got a couple signals on arbitrary content, but I'll revise PR 1030 for next week.
How's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right? It's almost the end of April already. Can't believe it. 2023 going too fast. Well, that was my attempt at small talk. Thanks, everybody.
It's not its fault, guys. It's just not its fault.
Jason, I thought it was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
I could
really
tell
enjoyed
from
it.
your lack of a response that you loved it.
I was trying to think of a response that would live up to that level of quality, and I just drew a blank.
Wow.
You know, the weather here is really nice right now. Like 70 outside.
Wish it was
Feeling
that this year.
It's been a good spring. Lots of rain here. And sun. My garden's going great.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
Yeah, I think that's it for the agenda items. See you next week.
Woo! See you.
Thanks, folks.
Safe,
Bye.
Brandon. Be safe, Brandon.
Congratulations, everybody, on the release. Candidate.
Release candidate. Thanks, Mike.
Cheers, Mike.
Cheers, mate. Bye.